Hello, welcome to Simcha, a celebration of life. I'm Nikki Wallman. Hungarian by birth and Jewish by upbringing, Eris Silke's character is difficult to overlook when viewing her captivating work. As a self-taught artist, Eris is not limited or bound by any theoretical strain, but rather draws her inspiration from a highly sensitive analysis of the world around her, including those aspects born of the imagination.
My personal life has been translated to my view of the world as well. 20 years ago, I met a person who knew my work. And he said to me, I didn't expect you to be like that. I expected to meet a very bitter little old lady. And you know, I was so flattered because it expresses what my work was about in that time. And expressing that bitterness and that pain, it went right through to that person. I could feel that he connected with my work. Even though it may not be flattering to say to me, but it wasn't about me, that was the work. And that's why I was proud of that comment. And my work is dark. It's dark, but it's full of hope. I was quite a withdrawn, isolated person, as a child as well. Yeah, my most comfortable way is to be on my own. So as a result, I was a bit lonely. I didn't have as many friends as I should have had. And I escaped into the public library. And that was my place. Since I was about 5 years old, I read every book that I could get hold of. And that was my life. And that was my inspiration to my paintings as well. When I started growing up, I started getting like depressions. And eventually I ended up in psychotherapy. And what happened to me, I always drew and painted, but it was more outer things that I saw. But since I had this look into my soul through psychotherapy, my work just changed. And basically what I've done, I've let myself paint whatever I felt like. And it turned out that I expressed all my feelings without directly wanting to do it. And I became trusting of the process of expressing myself like that. So it was a wonderful thing because for me it was incredibly therapeutic. I became more peaceful and more happy expressing these things. And I didn't even think that anybody would want to buy them or connect with them because I knew that they were quite dark. The interesting part was that there are so many people who understood my work. So it was a complete process of just being totally honest on the canvas. And it was what I felt. So it's almost like a language of painting. I'm very proud of this particular painting of my mother. And I think when I painted my mother, I painted her vulnerability and her pain and bitterness with life, because she was a very disappointed person. And when I look at this painting that I've done 30 years ago of my mother, I see the pain, I see the bitterness, and I see the beauty of her hopes that she tried to fulfill through me. Broken porcelain dolls it's very haunting kind of imagery for me. It's like something beautiful but damaged and vulnerable. When I do a person's portrait, I look for the person underneath the face. I don't do the face, I'm looking for the soul behind it. That's why I look at eyes very often. To me, eyes are very important because eyes are what you connect with, and other people's eyes are important to me. So I put most emphasis on the eyes when I paint somebody because I want to paint an emotion through them. Not necessarily that I know what they're feeling. Their face will stand for a certain emotion that I want to express. I'm struggling with my relationship with a higher power. I am. When you are a child of survivors, so to speak, you don't know that it's because your parents are survivors. To you, this is normality. This is your parents. You even assume, unless you see otherwise, that everybody has their childhood. But looking back now, I suppose I can draw more conclusions. My mother was a very insecure person, and if your parents feel that life is hard, you will think that life is hard. And I always tried very hard as a result. I've started so late in life to live the moment. And that is the most beautiful experience. I don't care what happens tomorrow. I make today a good day. If it's humble, if it's limited, it's fine. I make the best of it. So that I think coming to terms with reality to some extent, being more here and not in fantasy is what happened to me. All that I love and all that is worthwhile in me goes into the canvas. So that's all I know. I don't know exactly, I'm not like planning it. I'm gonna express this, I just let myself go. It's like a dance. When you dance, you forget about your plans, you just let go. And that's what I normally do in my art, and that's why it's such a wonderful experience, because it's the freedom, it's freedom.
The sixth of the 10 Commandments is do not murder. Murder may be regarded as the result of one person considering another to be totally insignificant. But in truth, all humans were created by God in His holy image, and therefore have an innate right to exist.
If there's one commandment that most people will feel pretty safe that they can tick off as taken care of, and that is the sixth of the 10 Commandments, do not murder. Unless you're a hardened criminal, you can basically feel, okay, let me tick off number 6 at least. But actually, if you take a step back, there's a lot more depth to this commandment than may first appear to you. And what is that? What is the sixth commandment about? It's about appreciating the sanctity of life. That God gave life as a gift to the first human beings, to Adam and Eve. And that for us ourselves, our lives are a gift from Him. The Talmud says that you need to give thanks to God. I'll call neshima v'neshima, for every breath of air that you take. So part of do not murder means appreciating the sanctity and the preciousness of the gift of life itself, and to be grateful to God for what it means to breathe, to see, to interact with the world, just to be alive, merely that gift. That's part of it. But from a moral point of view, that appreciation for the gift of human life, which is a gift from God, and that life is the soul, what we call in Hebrew the neshama, that means to appreciate and to protect human life. So, practical example is appreciating the life that God gave us by living a healthy life, watching what we eat, making sure that we exercise, not smoking, living a life which gives the proper respect to the body that God gave us, and to say, look, this human body needs to be looked after. Certainly, the older the person gets, the more effort that one has to put into it. But that's part of appreciating the life that God gave. And do not murder means don't murder yourself. Smoking is a form of murdering oneself. Eating in an unhealthy way, not doing exercise, is a form of cutting one's life short. So do not murder has much broader implications than may first appear at the surface. Another application of it, Talmud says, in an amazing insight, that one of the dimensions of do not murder is do not embarrass somebody. When you embarrass somebody, it's a form of murder. You can murder somebody with words. So we're not just talking about hardened criminals who are actually going to kill somebody, talking about a sensitivity. How do you say things to people? Everyone's dealing with different issues. Every person you engage with, one needs to have that sense of, who am I talking to? What will I say that may hurt that person's feelings? Something my father taught us as children, that one should almost imagine on the forehead of every human being is a stamp that says, fragile, handle with care. Every human being has that stamp, and do not murder is part of respecting that life force within them. Ultimately, do not murder is about appreciating every moment of life. Once, one of our great sages, the Chofetz Chaim, is one of the great sages of the 20th century, someone came to him and they said, you know, in America people say time is money. And he was then in Eastern Europe, and he said, no, actually, time is life. Every minute that we have on this earth is a gift from God. Do not murder is about appreciating the gift of being alive for each one of those minutes, and making sure that we don't waste time and do worthwhile things with it, and do good deeds and mitzvot and help people. That's part of it, not murdering our time, not murdering the life that we have. That's a very important dimension of it. So it's a multifaceted commandment, but rooted in one central value, that life is a gift from God, and that it is a precious gift, and that we need to do everything in our power to respect that gift and to appreciate it.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. Thank you so much for joining us, and please tune in again next Sunday. As always, from me, Nikki, and the entire Simcha team, shalom and have a safe and peaceful week.